Hey everybody, I'm here today to show you how to drive in the center of a lane. When you're driving on a street with one lane or multiple lanes, it's important to know how to stay centered in the lane while you're driving. You don't want to be swerving to the right or to the left. You also don't want to be driving to the right of the lane or to the left of the lane. You want to stay nice and centered. And if every car is centered in every lane, there's a good amount of room. There's an adequate amount of room in each lane. So with that being said, I'm going to give you a few quick tips that will help you stay centered in your lane while you're driving. All right, let's get right into it. The first thing that you should be doing is driving with a balanced approach on the steering wheel. So if you're driving with two hands, which you should be almost all of the time, then you want to have a nice balanced approach on the steering wheel. Some people like the 10 and 2 position. Other people like the 9 and 3 position. Other people use something that is a little bit further down that looks something like this. But the point is that whatever steering position that you use, whatever position of your hands on the steering wheel that you use, you should make sure that it's a balanced approach. Make sure that your hands are basically balanced on both sides. If you have one hand at the top and the other hand like this, I'm going to be veering to the right because I'm sort of weighted to the right-hand side. Just like if I was doing this, I would be veering to the left. I'd be going to the left. So with that being said, you want a balanced approach. Now, if you're driving with one hand, let's say you're driving a manual car and you're shifting gears, or you have to adjust something on the center console or something like that, then you want to have a balanced approach as well. But with one hand, you want it to go in the top center of the steering wheel. If you hold it a little too much to the right, then obviously you're going to be steering to the right. If you hold it a little bit too much to the left, your body's going to be kind of moving towards the left. So you want to be in the top center or really close to it. Some people go a little bit to the right of that or a little bit to the left of that, as long as you are pretty much balanced on the steering wheel. The next thing that you can do is look ahead. Now, many new drivers develop a very quick, not so good habit of looking right in front of the hood of the car as they drive. And not only is that unsafe because they don't know what's going on in front of the car, but it also causes them to steer left and right, because what happens is we never have our cars perfectly straight and centered in the lane. We're always, it can be this 1 degree to the left or 1 degree to the right. It can be the slightest amount of variation, but we're never really perfectly straight in the lane or centered in the lane. So we have to constantly make little adjustments, okay? And by looking in front of the car, you make these huge adjustments constantly, and you end up swerving left and right because you're just constantly adjusting to your not so perfect straight center line. But if you look far ahead, you end up making these nice smoother adjustments that are more gradual, and what happens is you end up getting in a nice straight line in the center of the lane. All right, the next thing is that micro adjustments will really help. Now, macro adjustments are when you take the wheel and you really maneuver it to the left or to the right, almost like you're swerving the car. And when you're going at a faster speed, even if you do medium-sized adjustments, you're still going to be kind of swerving left and right. You're not really going to be staying centered in the lane. But micro adjustments are when you have the wheel and you make these tiny little incremental adjustments as you drive. So if you are combining these two that I'm talking about right now, you're looking ahead and making those micro adjustments to perfect that line and get nice and centered in the lane as you're driving down and get that nice straight centered line down the lane, then you're going to be able to stay centered in the lane while you're driving. So micro adjustments are an absolute key factor to staying centered in the lane because they're necessary. Like I said, you're never driving in a perfectly straight line down the center of the lane. So when you look ahead and you make these micro adjustments, you create a long-term straight line, meaning sometimes you're a little bit to the left of the line, sometimes you're a little bit to the right, but you are getting a nice straight line, staying relatively centered in the lane. All right, moving on to the last part of this video, and that is to correct your posture. Now, some people drive like this, a little bit to the side. Other people drive a little bit like this, maybe if you have your arm out the window, and that is very bad for staying centered in the lane because your body positioning is forcing you to steer left or right. Some people, they lean a little too much to the right or a little to the left. They sit a little bit on the edge of their seat on one side or the other. Your posture should be nice and straight. Your posture should be nice and sitting straight up, looking straight ahead of you, and that's going to make it much better and easier to stay centered in the lane. Also, one last thing is to just realize in your mind that your driver's seat is not in the center of the car. So sometimes new drivers try and keep their driver's seat in the center of the lane. But in your driver's seat is either going to be slightly to the left or slightly to the right of the center of the car. So with that being said, I know that my driver's seat is slightly to the left of the center of the car. So my perception when I'm driving is that my vision is going to be slightly to the left, but I'm looking down the center. But I know that I'm not trying to keep my body in the center of the lane, because that would put my car slightly to the right of the center of the lane, because I'm on the left of the center of the car. And that's basically it. In this video, I have shown you and told you how to keep your car centered in the lane. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.